opportunity in Toronto. Look forward to meeting you all. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, follow me on Instagram. Awesome. Yeah. See you.
After the 30 seconds, I didn't have to pull them off or anything. Okay, Julia, sorry that I wasn't hearing you, but I'm going to give you another shot at this. Are you ready? Okay, you got this. 30 fresh. We had a fresh 30 seconds up on the clock. And here we go, Julia.
So I've been in recruitment for just over 3 years with a lot of event management experience. I was working in campus recruitment. I've also done career coaching on the side just to apply those skills. I'm looking to get back into events. I have experience managing events of upwards of 100 people, a lot of experience connecting with talent of different types. So if you are TechTO and you need an event coordinator or manager,
I'm so proud of you. And Julia, I heard the direct solicitation for a TechTO job. Don't think that got by me. Very, very impressive. All right, Edmund, you are up. Come on and give us your 30-second pitch, a fresh 30 up on the clock. Let's get it started. Edmund.
Hello, everybody. My name is Edmund Sam. I'm head of product at Data Valley Technology. As you know, the pandemic will be over soon, and consumers will be back at different venues with a vengeance. Our team is building a set of products and analytics that will help business to get insight at the intersection of people, places, and connectivity. So I have a job posting included in my profile. You can check it out by visiting the LinkedIn job posting. Thank you, everybody.
That was Edmund. That was awesome, man. Way to go. Congratulations. Okay, we're going to do just 3 more, okay? And then that's the end of the world famous community open mic session. So let's make sure the button should be closed. Let's make sure we close that button. We are all done for the night. Hey, how you doing?
Hi, thanks so much for giving me the chance at this mic. I just joined an incredible community that is really empowering people's health. It's called empower.ca, and we are currently hiring for 2 Ruby on Rails full stack developers. And also, if you want to join us in this mission and connecting and being the front door to healthcare equitably and inclusively here in Canada, join this incredible team. I've just been here 2 weeks, and every day I'm blown away by the incredible mission and the work that they're doing. Thank you so much.
Good for you. That's awesome. Congratulations. Very neat. Excited for you. Definitely check the chat. If you, everyone who's hanging out tonight with us, definitely post in the chat your announcement in case anyone misses it. You can, as seen on the TechTO open mic, make sure that everyone gets your links and is able to follow up. All right, Arsham, you are up on the stage. You ready?
I'm ready.
Go for it.
Hey everyone, how's it going? So I'm Arsham. I lead the product and engineering teams at a company called On-Call Health, a local Toronto health tech startup. We empower healthcare organizations across North America to provide their services online, and we help digitize healthcare and connect providers to their patients and make it more accessible for everyone. We've gone through a pretty hyper stage of growth this year, and we're now looking for product managers, product designers, and engineers. So hit me up on LinkedIn if you're looking.
If you browse the audience, Arsham, you can see lots of people with PM, looking for PM roles are here tonight. So definitely look for them, add them on LinkedIn, follow up, and stick around for networking. We'll be able to meet tons of awesome candidates for On-Call Health. All right, our last one of the session, the last person who is fast enough to grab a spot in the world famous community open mic. It is, who's it going to be? Okay, I'll take this one. Ivana, you win the last position, the coveted last spot. Come on up and give us your announcement.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I'm a marketing student at Seneca College, and I'm graduating at the end of this month. Very excited to join. Make great things happen and establish myself, to prove myself in the industry. It's very important for me with whom to work, so I'm really excited to learn from so far. I'll definitely visit each event of TechTO Talent. So thank you for that, Jason.
Thanks, Ivana. That was great. Thanks for coming up. Thanks for hanging with us. That was really cool. Can we get a round of virtual applause for everyone that participated in tonight's? That is a world's first. That is a hard thing to do in the world. You think it's easy. It is not so easy to get up in front of a virtual community like that, make your pitch, all sorts of different devices, connections, browsers, computers. Some people are in rural Canada. Who knows where they're joining from? What a great job tonight. Thank you for being brave. Now, definitely drop those chats, those messages in the chat. If you didn't get a chance to participate, please put your message over in the chat. And don't worry, there will be times to meet these people who made the announcements later on tonight. Pretty cool, right? Now, I am really excited to welcome Krystle Olson, Talent Attraction Lead at Shopify, for a conversation together with me about how top talent can stand out during their career transition. I am super excited for this convo. Let's make sure that Krystle comes on up. Here comes, let's get those blue hearts rolling for Krystle. Hey, Krystle.
Hello.
What's going on?
Not much. I'm really excited to be here.
Now, why don't you do a quick introduction of yourself, please?
Sure. I'm Krystle Olson. As Jason said, I work at Shopify as a talent attraction lead, and that title might be a little unfamiliar. Most people are familiar with talent acquisition, but we made the explicit decision late last year to split our talent acquisition team into two separate functions, being talent attraction and talent selection. And so my part of talent attraction focuses on attracting the best talent and engaging with the best talent in the world to join Shopify on our mission of making commerce better for everyone.
Amazing. And I know there's a very famous quota that you are hiring for this year. What's the 2021 hiring target for you, Krystle?
Well, that is honestly a very audacious goal, and it's one that we are really excited to be tackling. I'd be lying if I didn't say that it was a little bit daunting, but it's a huge opportunity for us to really push the product forward. As you said, Jason, earlier tonight, the world needs more opportunities for opening businesses, and that's our business, is trying to help people find their footing in an unstable world. And frankly, I know this is going to sound really cliche, but the world does need more Shopify if we're going to be able to help people find their own path to the livelihoods in this climate we're in.
It needs more Canada. It needs more entrepreneurs. It needs more Shopify. Hey, Krystle, you've got some fans hanging out here. Look at this. Hanging out. Yeah. And some people that are just jealous of the job that you get to do, which is great.
I'm jealous too. It's a pretty awesome job, to be honest.
So this is interesting. So talent attraction. So, the first question that I have is, you're top talent out there on the market. Why do you even need to look for a job? Like, what does it mean to look for a job? People's LinkedIns are so full of opportunities. What is that? Like, what do you counsel to people who are at the top of their game? Like, how do they even start a search?
Honestly, the biggest thing I would think about, and I'm going to echo a lot of what Rachel said here, is like really do some self-reflection first and figure out like what it is that you want, both from a company in terms of like what that company's values are, what the company's building, what their mission is. Does that align with your values? Also opportunities to grow, because we all are looking for, there's always something that we can grow in. I think those would be the first things that I would really encourage someone to reflect on.
So let me ask you, Krystle, have you done that reflection?
I have.
Are you comfortable sharing like what that process feels like and, like where you started and where you ended up?
Yeah, honestly, it usually starts with like a little itching feeling of discomfort where you think like, okay, there's something here that I need to explore. And honestly, the place where that came for me was moving from an IC, an individual contributor on what was before the talent acquisition team, to moving into the position I'm in now. I had never led people before. I'd never built out a function before. And but I knew that discomfort probably meant that there was something there. And so I tried to figure out, like, is this something I'm doing for me, or is it doing something that people expect me to do? And really interrogating my own intentions.
Right. I like that. I like that word. I think, when you say the word discomfort or itch, it sort of reminds me of like an entrepreneurial journey where it starts with a dissatisfaction in the way things are for you today. Do you think there's a bit of entrepreneurialism also in sort of talent when they start their job search or what's next in their career?
Absolutely. I think that you may not be building, a company or a product, but you're building yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really important to know like what it is you're going after, what it is you want to, like what I know this is also going to sound cliche, but I'm going to say it, like what impact you want to have on the world.
Right.
And I don't think that there's really anything more entrepreneurial than that.
We're going to dig a little bit into this because we're going to make this really real.
Yeah.
But I think some people right now are rolling their eyes a bit. Ali says, because they're saying, what is this need to actually do talent? We all know Shopify. This isn't what Rachel said, which is you don't have a brand. This is Johnson & Johnson getting 2,000 applications for every role. So tell me about what the need is. Like if you think you're just going to be one applicant in an ATS system, like why are you, what are you trying to achieve with your attraction goals?
Well, part of it is we're looking for folks who truly want to work at Shopify. Mm-hmm. And we're looking for people who are really focused on why we exist as a company, and who care about that enough to want to work with us. So that's a big part of it. And to be perfectly honest, not every applicant is super interested in exploring that mission with us. And so we're really looking for those folks. We're also, as far as attracting great talent, we're wanting to attract talent regardless of where they are in the world. And so that's a big mandate. We may have a strong employer brand here in Canada. That's not to say that we have the strongest employer brand all across the globe. And we are a truly digital by design company now. We're not going back to offices. And so that means that we need to reach the best talent wherever they happen to reside, because they will continue to reside there.
I like that. So it's also a global mission for you. So people who are watching today, they have that discomfort, that little discomfort. They're in a great job. They're happy with it, but there's something in there. They're doing some reflection. And that's a really hard part, but they come out of it and they say, hey, here's the impact I want to make in the world. Here's the values, right? Mm-hmm. They've done it. What do you do next? I mean, because you can go to a company's website and try to look up their values, but then sometimes the values that are posted on that website aren't actually the values that they live and breathe. So how should candidates sort of make a list? How should they discover organizations that fit their values and fit the kind of mark they want to make on the world?
I think a great thing to do, honestly, is to try to make a connection with somebody who's at that company already, but have it be a non-transactional kind of interaction. You're not just saying hey, I think your company's cool, can you please refer me? But rather approach that person with curiosity about why they choose to be a part of that organization. And you can share a little bit about what you're looking, the mark that you're hoping to leave as well. Right. I think that there's a lot of other places that you can learn about what a company is wanting to do, both from their company page, from other platforms, LinkedIn, social media, right. Just paying attention to how that company is showing up in all digital spaces, because I think that'll give you a lot of insight.
Got it. So, I mean, even if before we go to make the connection in, like, how do you even create the list? I mean, like, I guess you could really just open up social media and browse, but do you have any tips or insight on how to, how to find inspiring companies, how to find inspiring people that you want to follow into battle?
Mm-hmm. I think a big part of it is understanding what kinds of problems you want to solve.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's also, if you're wanting to solve problems that are directly going to impact a certain customer group. With Shopify, for example, for the longest time, we intentionally hid behind our merchants because we wanted our merchants to be the face of their own brand.
Right.
And so like if you're into empowering people from the background, that might be something that you would want to explore. If you're wanting to be a part of a company that's directly interfacing with customers, that's something else that you can look at. But honestly, I think the biggest thing is just to think about why does this company exist and what kind of problems are they trying to solve? And that's the place I would start with any list making. And then if you start exploring that company and see that there's somebody who's of interest, figure out who that person is connected with and start exploring, their network too, because that might spring other opportunities that you may not have considered.
Interesting. Okay. So, so we've made this list now using your advice, and, it's interesting that you said, hey, try to make a connection, a non-transactional connection with someone at the company. That, like if people were interested in Shopify, like you want them to just find somebody random at Shopify and like try to strike up a relationship with them. Is that the right first move for them to do? Or how do you encourage them to go about that process?
I'm going to speak specifically to technical talent because that's the world that I live in.
Okay.
Something that I would recommend more so than just reaching out on, say, LinkedIn, cold, is try to figure out who is doing something within a company of interest that you admire. And then like there may be other places you can explore. Like take a look at their, their GitHub, and if they have public projects, dig in a little bit and see what they're actually building and try to understand it, and then bring that to the conversation.
Right.
Pay attention to what people are talking about on Twitter, because you can learn a lot. Blog posts, for example, like there's just a lot that even like blog posts that people are posting on their company blog, if you're able to find the author and pay attention to what they're saying, like that's a really good opportunity to strike up a conversation from a standpoint of knowledge instead of just, hey, I'm a person on the internet and I saw you on the internet too. Maybe we can be friends.
Wait, there's no people on the internet, Krystle. Isn't everyone a dog on the internet?
All
That's
bots.
right. It's all bots.
Yeah.
So, then is the resume dead? Like, is the right strategy then? Like, find someone else who's contributing to an open source project and contribute with them. Like, should we assume that if we go to a careers page and we submit something that it's already dead in the water?
Honestly, 100% no. I think that there are 100% a lot of flaws with resumes because it's very easy to sort of game that system.
Yeah.
So the advice that I always share with people is when you're building out a resume, I don't think we're going to be getting away from resumes in the near future.
Right.
So when you're building it, don't just focus on having the laundry list of buzzwords that are going to be caught by keyword parsers, but instead really focus on what was your role, what was the impact of whatever it was you did, and what were the key projects that you worked on, and what was your role specifically in those projects. And that takes a little bit more time, but that's also going to optimize for the companies that have a set of human eyes actually reading through your resume, reading through your application. And I think that's the advice that I share with just about everyone I speak with is optimize for a human on the other side of the screen.
Even if you think they're going to use a keyword parser. Exactly.
Because the companies that are straight up using keyword parsers, like it might not benefit you in that situation, but it is going to make you stand out to the companies that do have people who are looking at what you share with them.
Sometimes though, Krystle, I think if it's a keyword parser, it's easy. I can impress it with, my binary that I would put on the on my page. What makes a resume stand out to a human, and in particular to you as a human? Like you talked about demonstrating the impact, but what does that mean? What does that feel like? And could you give us like an example of something that really like sticks in your mind as a great example?
Yeah. So on our applications, we also ask a series of different questions where people have the opportunity to elaborate a bit on what they've done beyond just what's on, the bulleted list.
Right.
And the thing that always really stands out to me is people who have talked about what went well and then what didn't go well. And like displaying a bit of that vulnerability, I think, is one of the biggest things that will impress me.
Yes.
Because we know that everybody is wanting to put their best foot forward, and we also know that everybody is fallible. And so if you're able to own that and say like, this didn't go well and this is what I would do in the future, that gives me a signal to like, you're paying attention.
But don't most people fall in the trap of like, oh yeah, but I worked too hard, or I tried to take on the project by myself, or I care too much. Like, how do you like sometimes I think people get vulnerability wrong. What does a real vulnerability look like to a set of human eyes?
Honestly, it's owning your part in it, but not in an inauthentic way. And I think that that's the main thing. Like, even if it's in text, authenticity comes across very clearly. And so write as though you were speaking to the person who's going to be reading. And I think that comes across, it comes across anyway when I'm reading what people share with us.
Yeah. Do you feel like on the best resumes that you see, do you feel like that person? Like, is it like a college admissions essay? Is that what people should be thinking about? Like, where you sort of get a sense of who the person is and not just the accomplishments?
Yeah, definitely not like looking for that length of submission, but definitely like we and I think a lot of companies like Shopify are looking to hire people, and we're looking for people to truly bring their whole authentic self to work. And so if you're able to demonstrate that at the very first interaction that you have with a company, I think that is going to go a long way. And there are definitely folks that have, that I've looked at in the past and it wasn't quite the right time. But they made an impression on me. And because we use an ATS, applicant tracking system, we do still keep your information. And so we're able to pull people up when there is an opportunity. And I think that's the other thing that I would recommend. Sorry, I think I just cut you off, Jason.
Go.
There's so much of the process that just comes down to timing. And so I think that's the other thing that I would encourage everyone to think about, is that it might not be the right time, for that moment. Like not getting an opportunity to talk to an employer is really frustrating. And I 100% get that. But please do, if this is a company that you really care about, or it's a set of problems that you really want to solve, be persistent, and like show up and say like, this is how I've grown since the last time I applied with you. And I think that this is actually the right time for me. Because there's always going to be this intersection of it being the right time for the company, the right time for you. And I can tell you stories of hundreds of people that I've interacted with at Shopify for whom their first time wasn't the right time, but their second or third time was.
So let's say you're lucky enough to get the timing right. Maybe you started previously, finding the right people, doing interesting work at the company, creating maybe more content-based relationships online. You wrote your resume for a human, not for a keyword parser. And you got the opportunity to speak with an employer, a hiring manager. You showed your vulnerability through the application. and despite that, they still wanted to talk with you. What does it look like from your perspective when we get to the interview rounds and we've sort of made it through those hurdles and we're connecting with real humans? Is it now become a harder focus on the content, or even more of a focus on the person? Tell me, give me a sense of what that feels like then.
it's honestly a twofold. We're really looking for, on like the behavioral side, for people who have been present in their lives.
Yeah.
And I think that that's probably across the board for most companies, is we're looking for people who are engaged in what they've done in the past as a predictor for what they could do in the future. So it really does, it's really worthwhile like sitting with yourself before you go into an interview to just think about like, what has driven my decisions? And how do I continue driving my decisions? Because that's going to be an important thing that an employer is going to look for. On the content side, there are definitely like technical assessments that one would go through in the technical space. But a big part of it is to think about how you go about tackling those problems. And so if you end up in a technical assessment situation where like things aren't going well, take a moment to breathe, take a moment to sort of reset yourself. And then even if you realize that this might not be, you might not be presenting yourself in the absolute best light, if you're still able to speak with some authority of like, I recognize this isn't going this way, but I think that this is the approach that I take, that also goes a long way to make an impression on the interviewer. Yeah,
I mean, it will not always go the right way once you have the job, and the way that you communicate, I think, is really important, right?
Absolutely. And I think the other thing that we look for in all of the interviews that we do is a real sense of resourcefulness, because we all know, oops, I think I lost Jason.
That was fun. Yeah.
Yeah, we look for resourcefulness because I think that that's the thread that I am constantly floored by with everybody that works at Shopify, is this sense of I might not know how to do this, but I'm pretty sure I can figure it out.
Right.
And so if you're able to demonstrate that kind of quality in that interview process, that's also going to go a really long way.
I got a couple lightning round questions for you before we wrap up. Are you ready? That was a lot about and really amazing insight on what candidates should know they're being assessed as they go through. But an interview is also a chance for them to assess, likewise, the employer and make sure that this is fitting all their values. What are some things that they should be looking for throughout the process to make sure that this is going to be the right fit for them? And also, what are some red flags that they should look out for through that process that says, hey, this might not be exactly what you're signing up for?
Yeah. Okay, lightning round. So one thing I would say is get the question in of, how does the company think about leadership expectations? And so how do they like vet their leaders? Because a company is only as good as the leaders that they have. Second thing is ask about how the company both like views and then builds towards having a representative workforce. And if like, what is their diversity and belonging and inclusion strategy? And if they're not able to answer that, that's probably a red flag.
Right.
Also, how does the company think about growth and like internal opportunities for growth? Are they thinking about a career as just a straight shot ladder, or are they thinking about ways that folks can move around in the company and explore other opportunities?
Right.
So those would be the three things I'd recommend asking.
Those are great. This one was great. This Olachi asks, how much is too much when being persistent? And she's been persistently posting this question, which I thought was very meta. So I thought I had to ask it.
Yeah. In terms of like reaching out to folks directly, maybe give it one or two. And if they're not responding, just back off. And then, of course, like in a little bit of time, reach out again. As far as applying to roles, I would recommend being selective in the roles that you're applying to. And then if it's not, if for some reason it's not the right time, give it a bit of time before you do choose to apply again, to be able to demonstrate that growth.
Yeah, you said that really well, which is how can you show the development since the last time you applied or last time you spoke or connected. So give yourself the opportunity to achieve or accomplish something in between, I think is great. And then the last one, this is very, very Orwellian here. What are the most demand-specific skills that you're looking for that is AI proof? Dinesh is not just worried about getting the job. He's also worried about losing it to AI very shortly thereafter. So,
well, in this business, we should all be worried about our jobs being automated away, but that's actually a big part of the goal is we want to automate the things that are better done by a computer so that human brains can focus on the creative work that computers aren't so good at yet.
That's the best answer. Dinesh, write the AI that gets rid of the job that writes the AI. If you can do that, you're in good shape. Yeah,
absolutely. Honestly, like top skills, really demonstrable problem solving skills are the biggest one. We can teach people tech stacks. We can't. It's a lot harder to teach people to think critically and to be curious and to problem solve in a really thoughtful way.
Yeah. Who's doing that? Well, Krystle, we didn't even get one cat interruption today, so I'm a little disappointed.
No, we have a dog. We're in the corner, but otherwise we're good.
Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight.
This was great. Thanks for this conversation, Jason.
Yeah. To be